What's going on, my friends? My name is Ngoni. Today I'm here at Team Foxcoin. We got Lonobo Fololo who is going to break down to you what is Bitcoin and actually ways you can make money from Bitcoin and also the business that we're involved in. So stay tuned.
Now who could stop me? I'm in the zone. Competition's none in a league of my own. All about the
Good day, good people. My name is Lonobo Fololo and I want to welcome you to our channel today. And so today I've got something very, very special that I want to communicate with you guys. This is arguably, one of the best inventions since the internet. And so you might have guessed this right now. I'm actually talking about Bitcoin. All right, so there's quite a lot of information, or misinformation floating around in terms of what Bitcoin really is. And so I just want to clear, just a few of those misconceptions so that we can get to understand a little bit what Bitcoin is all about, and if need be, be able to position ourselves in the right direction of this trend. One thing I've discovered over the last few years, you'll find that if you look at the rich people, you'll find that these are ordinary people who have simply identified a trend, early enough and positioned themselves on the right side of the trend. And by doing so, they have become wealthy over the years. If we were to talk about this particular topic right now, Bitcoin, for example, Bitcoin back in 2010, when the first Bitcoin transaction happened, by the end of the year, Bitcoin was hardly $1. But look at it right now. One Bitcoin is worth, almost $10,000. See how the value of this currency has actually progressed. So don't worry, we'll talk about, how you can actually catch up and, what this thing, actually means for all of us. Okay, so today we are talking Bitcoin. So I've spent, the last 3 years of my life solely working on Bitcoin, educating the people about Bitcoin. And I've seen hundreds and hundreds of people learn about what Bitcoin, position themselves, change their lives with the information that I'm going to be giving you today. So stay put and as we discuss what Bitcoin is all about. So basically, I like to break it down into three parts. One being Bitcoin is a currency. All right, so Bitcoin is a currency just like your rand if you're in South Africa, the US dollar, the British pound, the Chinese yen. There's just a few differences, with those currencies and Bitcoin, the currency. I'll talk about a few. Number one, if you look at all fiat currencies, fiat currencies being the normal currencies that we know, your rand, your dollar, British pound, your Chinese yen, those are fiat because they are literally not backed by anything, except the government promised that, that they are actually worth something. So fiat currencies, if you look at over the last, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you'll notice one thing that all of them have in common, and that is they lose buying power all the time. That's got to do with how fiat currencies are created. But if you look at Bitcoin on the other hand, you will see that over the last 10 years, the value of Bitcoin has risen to the top. Yes, of course, in between it goes up and down, but you can see the trend is actually upwards, And, I say to people that actually Bitcoin was designed to do exactly what it's doing. On the other hand, fiat currency is also designed to do what it's doing. It's by no surprise. But I'll get into a little bit of detail, just now. So it is a currency, meaning you can use it to buy goods and services, especially over the internet. It's actually created to be, the money of the internet that you can exchange, with people or service providers via the internet. Okay, but we'll explain that more. So it is a currency. Secondly, Bitcoin is a currency. It's not owned or controlled by any government. I remember one day I was in Dubai. And my local currency, where I'm coming from South Africa, it has got one of the global icons. His name is Mandela. So I went to this particular shop and I greeted, this gentleman that was serving me. And I said, do you know who is on this paper? And they said, yes, this guy is Mandela. So I said to them, all right, so I'm going to give you this currency that has Mandela on. I'm looking for that. I was looking for a cover for my phone, and this guy said, no, we don't want Mandela. They took out their own local currency and says, this is what we're looking for. So So meaning, as much as my currency had the global icon, respected worldwide, but my currency is limited to only South Africa. So meaning, if I go to any particular country, I'll then have to convert my rands into their local currency so that I'm able to trade. So meaning, local currencies, are actually bound, geographical. I can only use the rand in South Africa and so forth. So Bitcoin is a global currency that you can use in any particular country, right? So, and then the second thing about Bitcoin is, some refer to it as a commodity. All right, and I'll explain why people do refer to it as a commodity. If you look at gold, I remember in 1995, an ounce of gold was sitting at around $400. It's probably sitting right now at about $1,300. So over the years, what has gold done? Gold has actually gone up in value, beating inflation. So, why does gold do that? There's various reasons. One of them is the fact that, gold is scarce. You're not going to walk around and, find a piece of gold somewhere. There's an element of scarcity. And even if they do find gold deposits elsewhere in the world, you'll find that it's actually such a very expensive exercise for you to be able to get gold out of the ground. So that is why, one, there's an element of scarcity, and all of us do believe that gold is actually, precious metal. All right. So you can do the same with Bitcoins. There will only be 21 million Bitcoins to ever exist. So as far as the element of scarcity, Bitcoin is much more scarce compared to gold, because there will only be 21 million units of this currency called Bitcoin. Whereas if you look at gold, for example, someone might discover new gold deposits elsewhere in the world, and then they'll start digging it up and start, selling it. So as far as Bitcoin, there will not be any more new Bitcoins added. Anything added after that, it's no longer Bitcoin. It's called an altcoin, meaning an alternative coin. All right. So Bitcoin is a commodity. As I said before, that in 2010, one Bitcoin was less than $1, but right now, if you're looking at one Bitcoin, it's sitting at close to $10,000. So that's because of the element of scarcity. So the more people want to use, or buy or hoard Bitcoin, is the more the price of Bitcoin literally goes up. Okay. And we'll also talk about the use case of Bitcoin. Why do people actually want to use Bitcoin? All right. So the third thing about Bitcoin is, it is a payment system. Payment system. Okay. So now going back to currencies, if I've got let's say I've got $50 with me, and I've got a brother, a cousin, or whoever, someone who needs this $50, and this person is not in the same city that I am in. They're in the other side of the town or other side of the country. Or they could even be, overseas, in a different country than where I am. So for me to be able to send them this currency, I will actually need a third-party payment system, So currencies is exactly that, a currency. But then over and above that, for this currency to work, you need payment systems, around it. So in this case, if I've got this $50, I need to send to this guy. If it's a local, I will then use the banks. We've got also shops where you can actually send this money and they will go and collect it in that shop. So I will then need a third party. Of course, the third party is there to make a profit. So they're there to provide a service, but at the very same time, they are there to make a profit. So meaning they will then charge me to actually send this money to the person that I'm sending it to. So meaning if the $50 is all I had, by the time it gets to that guy, it's not going to be $50, okay? It's going to be less because I will get charged. Possibly that guy will also get charged as well. Okay. So if you look at Bitcoin on the other hand, Bitcoin is not just a currency. It's not just a commodity. Bitcoin is also a payment system on its own. We call it a peer-to-peer payment network. Meaning, so if I need to send money to you, I do not need a third party. I could download a Bitcoin wallet. You could also download a Bitcoin wallet. I'll get your Bitcoin wallet address, and I can simply send money. The equivalent, Bitcoin value $50. Send it to you, and it's gonna take literally a matter of seconds, and you will have the money. It will cost me almost nothing, and it will cost you almost nothing as well to receive this currency. So, but on the other hand, if I'm sending money right now to someone outside of my home country, which is South Africa, it will take, a couple of days. And on top of that, the fees are so exorbitant. I remember one guy, he works as a lecturer in one of the South African universities, and this guy is coming from Ghana. So I asked him, do you still send money home? He says, yes, of course, I do send money home. And I asked him, so please tell me, how do you send this money home? And this guy says to me, I use MoneyGram, PayPal, and Western Union, but mostly I use MoneyGram. So I asked him, so how much do they charge? He says, around 10%. That's how many fees I actually pay, around 10%. So, 10%. That's a lot of money. So if this guy is sending $1 million, this means it's gonna cost him $100,000 fees. Imagine those 10% every single month. So people all over the world, you'll find that the forex market, that's foreign exchange, people sending money to and fro, they use like a bank's PayPal, Western Union, and so forth. That market is worth $6 trillion a day. So if you think about that a minute, and imagine if only 10% of those people start moving money around the world using Bitcoin instead of using their local currency. They will save on time, they will save on fees. It's a much safer and a much faster way of sending money anywhere around the world. So that is why part of what we do, a major part of what we do is educating the public for free what Bitcoin is all about, the use case of Bitcoin. So in this case, that's, me sending money to someone elsewhere in the world, it's much faster, much safer. I remember first week of December last year, somebody did a transaction where they sent Bitcoins worth $600 million, sent it to one account, and it literally took only, a few seconds, and the cost was only $6. Try and do that with your traditional payment systems and see how much it's going to cost you. All right. So just to go over what we said, Bitcoin is a currency. It's a commodity, meaning you can buy and hold on to it. You know that in the future, the value of Bitcoin will go up as it has over the last 10 years. And thirdly, Bitcoin derives most of its value from the fact that it's a payment system, So more and more people are starting to use Bitcoin as a way to send money anywhere around the world, censorship resistant, faster, cheaper, and much easier to send money anywhere around the world. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, that is Bitcoin. So in the next video that I'm going to do, we're going to be talking about how do we then get involved? What are the opportunities that are involved in this new phenomenon called Bitcoin? All right, so I'm excited about that part because I've seen it literally change lives of people, right before my eyes. And of course, it changed my life as well. I remember before I got into Bitcoin, I was just a struggling entrepreneur, selling properties, business was up and down and so forth, up until I got into Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining, which I'll explain, that's when my life started to change for the better, of course. Stay tuned. Cheers.